Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle video tutorials on Affinity Photo and creating image brushes from a shape design. Or obviously you could use anything, but I'm just going to use a shape design. So I've got this design here, I'm just going to remove it now. And all it was a donut shape. So just go down here to the donut tool. There's the donut tool there. And you can set the colour. Maybe I'll just go with orange or something like that. Whatever you want. Obviously that's probably not best to go with black or white, but just go with that and just create a quick donut. Now with that donut shape, what you can then do is you can select it, because the thing is you can't create a brush from a shape. You need to select it. So simply just go over here and go to select and selection from layer. So selection from layer, and you'll see then what happens. You get a selection around that. So that's all selected. Of course, you could modify that. You could have a gradient in there. You could have patterns, etc. I'm just going to go with a solid colour. Now, once you've done that, go to View and Studio and Brushes. So there's brushes there, and there's the panel. And you can see the brush design I've already created earlier. Go to the right side menu, and then just go to down here, and you'll notice that New Brush from Selection is not available. Well, quick workaround for that is go to a layer and rasterize. So it's rasterized, you've got your selection, now it should be available. So New Brush from Selection. It's a pity that the thing doesn't work it out and say, oh, this is what you want to do. You want to rasterize it, because clearly, however, it doesn't do it automatically, so you have to go for a step of rasterizing and also the selection. So New Brush from Selection. So you've got your new brush, and there straight away you can see it added to there. And that's what this was before I modified it slightly. So let's just remove this now. I don't want that. So what you can do now is you can modify this by just double clicking on it. Brings up this brush editor. And you can modify the various size settings if you want. Sometimes it's not so responsive. Actually, I find the sliders are quite hard to move sometimes. It just doesn't respond. So it's really quite nice just to, I think, just to type it in, and you can just see the response there. Now you can also modify like the various settings here. Blend mode, spacing, and I'm just going to go with spacing, quite intense spacing. So put it down to like 1%. That's as low as you get. Though you probably can, I don't know, can try it, 0.1%. No, you can only put 1%. Obviously, that's as low as it's going to get. What you can then do is go to Dynamics, and this is where it gets more like this. So what you can do, you can boost up the size jitter, and you can see it's on there. You can also modify, obviously, pressure. So I've got an art pad and pen, but you've got various things like random, angle, if you want to create a bit of variety. And also you can modify it by using this here as well. So you can just change it. So if I just change this, you can see it just changes there. Maybe move that down. So you can create a variety of different designs if you want to do that. But I'm just going to go with a more basic design like that. Maybe like that. That one's fairly reasonable. Then what I can do, I'm just going to go for, now obviously some of these others are, it might be useful, scatter, etc. But I want this nice flowing design. So I'm not going to change any of the scattering settings. So I'm just going to go down here to Hue Jitter, and I'm just going to boost that up to fairly up to the max. And you can see what happens. You end up with this sort of whole range of different colours, and it's all very close because I put the spacing very, very small. And also you can modify if you want to, push up the saturation and luminosity if you want to do that as well. So you just vary it, just experiment. So once you're happy with that, you can of course go and add some more textures and sub brushes. If you want to add some more sub brushes, you can do that by add bitmap. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with that design I've got there. So it's slightly different from what was the other one, but it's, you know, fairly similar. Close. Now what you can do, you can test it, and I'm just going to quickly go over here to the paintbrush tool. And you can see, just apply it like that. Apply it very, and I might, you know, if you think, oh, that's not as good as I wanted, what I can do, always double click again, go back, and I can modify, maybe push up the up to 96%. And maybe modify some of the other settings. Push those, click close. Now, like, of course, the harder you press, it's obviously going to get bigger. You do it very, very subtle. Now, what I want to do is also, I want to extend it slightly a bit better by going to a layer and new layer. So instead of just applying it, I'm just going to apply it once. Now, I could just do, obviously I could just apply it like this, and I could add some more. So you can see your design there. You could create all kinds of variety of colourful designs, which of course you can then modify using filters. But what I want to do is I want to extend it a bit on that. So I'm just going to just create, you can create a whole variety of like wiggle designs, maybe sort of up, down, whatever. So you've got that, say that design. I'm going to go with something, otherwise I could spend hours. Now it's on a layer, so you can go over here, layers. You can see you've got this layer. So what you can now do, because it's on a layer, is you can go down to effects. So you've got layer effects there. Click that, and maybe you could go with bevel emboss. So you've got bevel emboss, so you can give it a bit of a bevel there. And I'm just going to go with inner. Push those out, and I can soften it. You can also vary the direction. You can see then that change in there. Of course, you've got profiles if you want to modify the profile. Variety of different profiles available. And you've got other settings, highlights, etc. Also, what you can do, of course, you can go and add a shadow. I'm just going to quickly add a shadow. You don't have to do all this. It's just purely just want to show you you could give it maybe a more three-dimensional look, maybe not so intense. Okay, so I've got that design there. Now that's just that layer. Now what I could do, I could just go over here to the move tool and I can duplicate that. So I can hold down the Alt or Option key. You can see you can duplicate it. So you get exactly the same design. You could then maybe resize it, rotate it. You can create all kinds of very complex designs like that. Well, what you can also do, of course, is you can go there and now what you can go selection and selection from a layer. So now that whole section. Now you'll notice that the shadow is not, unfortunately, you only just get the actual design there. Might be wrong, but we will see. So once you've done that, of course, what you can now do, go to brushes and then just go over to this right side again. And now new brush, because that is a pixel layer. It's just a standard pixel layer. And it has to be a pixel layer for this to work. So new brush from selection. And you can see what happens then. You've got your new brush. Now I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to remove that. I don't want that layer now. So I've got this design here. Now I can go again over here to the brush tool and you can see now you've got your brush. Instead of what was before, now you can click there. So you can see it, no shadow. Quick workaround, of course, of that is you could always, I guess, is create a layer. So layer, new layer, oops, and then apply it. And then what you can do, you can always go to over there with layers, go again to the FX, and again you can simply go to outer shadow and vary that, and you can see you can straight away add that shadow back in again, and bevel emboss, you've got your bevel again. So if you want to do that, and of course this is applied again to this layer, so you can, and it will have the same. And also what you can do, you can always vary the size, so you can reduce that down. Now, of course, because it's slightly more interesting shape, you can actually use it, brushes, you can go and modify this. Now, if you want to save these, I always think one thing is you can edit the brush, but if you want to save it, it's always best to duplicate it. And I would suggest if you want to duplicate it, then store it away in a particular place that you can then make certain you don't edit it by accident. So it's always there as a great resource. Otherwise, sometimes you edit it and then you can't get back very easily to the original. So double click, and you can obviously change the size. You can reduce it down if you want smaller. You can also modify again the spacing. Maybe have it a bit further apart because it's quite a nice sort of wiggly sort of design. And you could actually, if you made a bit of care, probably get it so it looks like it's sort of continuous design. Now what you can also do, of course, you could go dynamics as well. You could vary the size. So you can see it now just like that, just varying there. And also if you want, hue jitter. So you can actually modify that. You can see the colours will be changed there. Maybe not luminosity. And of course you do the same with all these things there. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to go with this. And now I can apply it there. You can see your brush stroke applied like that. However, also what you can do, of course, which I didn't do, general, you can use rotation. So if you want to, you can always go to rotation jitter, so you can have it rotate as well, which I think is quite nice. So close, so it rotates in different angles. So you get quite an interesting design like that. And again, you can do exactly the same. Let's just have a look at the size jitter. Maybe make it slightly bigger. And you can see, fill the design like that, or apply it very slightly or very light. You can see your design there. And there you have it. Well, also what you can do just before finish, you can also, of course, use this as a great source for selections. So if you decide you want to create a selection, you've got this brush now. What you got, just going to quickly go here, new document, it ever appears. Let's just go run web. Just select one there. And what you can do, of course, you can apply your brush stroke and you can save it as a pattern. Very, very useful. So simply again go to here and maybe not that big. It's too big for this document. So reduce it down in size. Just make it a bit smaller than that. And apply it a couple of times. Right, layer, new layer. So you put it onto a layer and then you can apply it. So just click, maybe in different places, maybe in like there. So you've got your design there. Once you've done that, what you can do, you can then go to layer and new pattern layer from selection. So first you've got to select it. So go to select and selection from layer. That's why, of course, there's a layer. Always very useful to have a layer. So you can create a selection from the layer. Now go to layer and new pattern layer from selection. So that's stored away. And now what you can do, you can, obviously you've got the original design below as a separate layer. You can always remove that if you don't want that. And you've got your design there. And also what you can do, you can hold down the Alt or Option key and you can duplicate it and you can resize that. And you can see you can create all kinds of quite unusual complex designs and you can rotate it. You can also stretch it out. You can also shear it like that and so on and so on. Create all kinds of unique oddball designs just all the way from a basic donut shape which has been turned into a brush which has then been turned into a pattern. Well, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Affinity Photo, Affinity Publisher, Affinity Designer, obviously Photoshop, Illustrator and many, many others. So please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel. Also, please add some comments. Anything I've done wrong, please point it out. Also, a dislike or like, always appreciated as well. Thank you much.